Hey, this is Cool Trains in Montreal, and I wanted to show off some more model trains today since it's a little cold outside. And this is my collection of Montana Rail Limk. And this is a railroad that many people in Montreal probably aren't going to be familiar with. It's a Western railroad. It was part of the Burlington Northern. It was mostly in the west, Marias Pass, and mountainous parts of like the railroad name says in Montana. However, it's much bigger of a company than most people would think. So it started out as a spin-off from Burlington Northern, one route or so, maybe a few routes in just Montana, but then it grew into a couple of other short line railroads. And they actually own Southern Railway of British Columbia, for example, right now. And they also had another one called Rail Limk, which is probably defunct right now, but it was also a company that was very much in tandem with CP Rail. So when I went and got some of these locomotives and rolling stock, I really liked the logo, of course, and that's probably the biggest driver of why I wanted to get this railroad. And it also because I wanted some interesting locomotives to run through on my CP trains. And I found some really interesting ones when I've got this collection over the years. And I think I would just start out with the Atlas locomotives here. These are SD35s. I got the match set. So this is one that I bought probably a year earlier than the other one, because I never got them at the same time. I got them at the different times. And they're from the first batch. In 1999, I believe I bought these. And they were probably the first Atlas models that I got that had the painted handrails, and which really took me back, because before then, Atlas never did that. Anyway, now the locomotive itself, it's not fictitious. High hood locomotives like this were got from Norfolk and Western and from the Southern Railway. And the Southern Railway and the Norfolk and Western were merged into, of course, Norfolk Southern. And they were notorious for having these high hood locomotives. All their locomotives were high hoods, and they were all geared to run with the long hood forward. However, when Montana Rail Limk got these locomotives, they had 5 of them in total. They knocked down the high hoods after, I think, a couple of years. So for 2 or 3 years, probably, they did run around in this paint scheme with the high hoods. So it's not fictitious. I've seen pictures on the internet of at least one in the Livingston yard. So I know they do have them, or they did have them at that time. So I got these two because I like the match set, of course, and I also like the cabooses. The cabooses you see in the background there are Atlas cabooses, and they would represent the cabooses that the Montana Rail Limk did use during their time using cabooses, and they still do use some cabooses, to my understanding. However, you can actually go in Glacier National Park. They have cabins made out of cabooses. And one of them is actually painted up like this Montana Rail Limk, and the other one, they have a couple of them. And they're all based on area railroads, and you can get a Burlington Northern one, you can get a Montana Rail Limk one, I think a Frisco one, a whole lot of different ones. So anyway, these Norfolk and Western locomotives, like I said, would have had their high hood knocked down to a low hood in the later years. These are 2,500 horsepower locomotives, V20s, with CC trucks. And the CC designation means that they have 6-wheel trucks, basically. So, and this is an EMD product. So moving on to here, these models are from another railway company, Intermountain. So they're slightly different. These ones represent locomotives that are currently used on the system. And the locomotives are SD45-2s. Now they're different than the SD45s, the original SD45s, because they don't have the flared radiator grills in the back. They are CCs, meaning the trucks are CCs. They're 6-wheel trucks each, and they have 3,600 horsepower V20 cylinders. So the only thing that's weird about this is that I noticed that the striping is not the same as on the other striping here, because the striping on the Atlas models is correct. Not so sure about the striping on these ones, if they got the striping wrong, or if maybe the earlier versions of Montana Rail Limk striping did have that more 30-degree angle, or rather 60-degree angle rather than the 45-degree angle. In any case, it still looks great. I like the colors, love the logo. It's just an interesting way of doing things. And as I say, I used to have Burlington Northern as my railroad when I was younger, so I intended to use these with Burlington Northern. So the third locomotive type that I have here is an F45. Now this represents the later Washington group, when this railroad was merged with another one called Washington Central, and the Southern Railway of British Columbia got in on it, and it's now consists of about 3 or 4 different railroads. And you see boxcars running around with this logo on it. A lot of them in the Montreal area, you'll see that says SRY, that's Southern Railway of British Columbia. In any case, this F45 is a CC locomotive as well. It has the 6-wheel trucks, and it is a 2,500 horsepower unit, as I was reading on Wikipedia, with also a V20. And these locomotives are originally were built for passenger service, or at least they had a capacity for passenger service. Burlington Northern had a few of them. They started as Great Northern locomotives in the blue and white. Basically, that scheme was for their Big Sky Blue trains before pre-Amtrak, because these were built in 1968. And Amtrak was merged into existence in 1971. So by that time, these locomotives would have been freight only. And these locomotives lasted pretty long, because back into 2006 even, they were running on the Montana Rail Limk. So I don't think any of these exist anymore. It's now 2021. But they lasted pretty long when you consider it, about 30 years. And these would have been the last paint scheme that these locomotives would have saw. Wisconsin Central also had these, and I have an example of that I've shown in earlier videos. So this is my Montana Rail Limk collection. I have a few other boxcars and a few hopper cars and stuff. Not a whole lot of it, but it's enough to give me a really good running example of some of these trains and how colorful they are. And they're very colorful. I really like the color scheme. This is why I bought them. So if you like what I do, please subscribe to Cool Trains in Montreal, and I will show more train videos and more live action. Thanks. Have a good day.